Hello. Welcome. I sure hope that my microphone's working. I'm gonna draw now. So let's do that. If my microphone's not working, it's just gonna be a real quiet stream, I guess. Because it's already quite late. Roast, hello. Welcome. I don't need another layer of the same thing. Also, if you... well, I guess that would be kind of a dumb question. I was gonna say if you can't hear me, let me know. But if you can't hear me, you would never know that I asked. Unfortunate. Okay. Normally I would be a lot more stressed about starting this late. But there's a goofy and repeatable gag in this one today, so I'm not super concerned about it. Let me just double check that this is doing what I want it to do. Same and agreed. Hello, Jinx. Welcome. Let me just ask in the chat. If my mic is actually working. Oh, okay. So you can't hear me. Tight, sick, sweet, rad. Or at least I sure hope you can. Because that would be very silly and unfortunate. Okay, cool. Cool and good. Yeah, I'm like sort of disappointed that I had all these random tech problems all like cascading at once. Because I knew this one wasn't going to take very long, so I was like, oh, cool, maybe I'll like play a game or something today also. Because there's this game that I had been wanting to play that I recently finally downloaded, and I was like, oh, that would be a fun stream game, actually, probably. So maybe if I'm very quick about it, I will play that today. What the heck is that game called? Inscription? Inscription is the name of that game. It is a, like, kind of a card game, but the person who made it makes a bunch of, like, deceptive games where it, like, starts as one thing, but it becomes a whole other thing as it goes on. So I imagine it will probably get very weird at some point. I only saw like a couple of clips from the very beginning of it. And part of me just wants to do a voice for a character that I saw at the beginning. And yeah, the alligator game is delightful as heck. Oh, I need to be on this layer. And I forgot to mute my phone. Oh, what a horrible person. Okay, I've done it. It's been muted. Maybe I need to move this out of the way. It's hot. It's been like getting kind of cold here. I finally unplugged my AC. $80 to $100. Oh man, that is very hot. That's not the way that this goes. Just in time for the spooky season. Probably needs to be a little more like this. finish on the 32nd. Uh, it was the intention to end it on Halloween, yes. Only because, as much as I have been enjoying these comics, boy howdy, they are quite the effort to do when I am busy, like on days that I'm doing other things. I'm gonna flatten these now. I mostly just needed tank to be properly positioned. I guess I can merge all these into one layer actually. Okay. That's fine, I guess. Oh. I'm gonna try what I did yesterday, just because it's a lot of fun. In my opinion, anyway. Which is to just go, like, very... very direct with the lines. Just sort of like... not... I say that as I'm doing the thing I'm describing I'm not doing, which is not being like overly precious about where I'm putting the lines, more just so focused on getting the lines into place. It can lead to some more fun and dynamic feeling lines. Having fun. I know. It's blasphemy. How dare I? What have I done? How could I? Yeah, I think I'm alright, Roast. I think I'll be okay. I think I'll live. Micah, hello. I've brought shame to the boys. Oh no. It's true, you do, which is why this is going to be a very fun page. Because it ties into what I was going to do yesterday. But having it work out this way is a lot more fun for me. And you'll see when I get there. In like a panel or two. And I guess I'll explain when it happens. If you didn't already figure it out with the sketching. Are they gonna kiss? Well, no. No, they're not. It's a very funny question. And again, in probably a panel or two, you will see why. I find that to be very funny. But first we have to finish this panel. That goes this way. Oh yeah, Tank was absolutely just delighted by this costume. Roz and Jesse, no. No, they are not. Do that. And that. Yeah. Someone's gonna make out with someone. Well, gonna give him a Hershey kiss. Bump genitalia. Well, that may happen as like an accident, but it's definitely not the intent for this particular maneuver. Ugh. I should have figured out how I wanted to put these hands. Oh boy, that finger was gigantic. That one's still pretty big also. Super long book essay. Friend gave you her homework. Copying homework? Illegal. I'm telling. Work rate, please. Let me just flip this canvas. Oh my goodness, procreate. SparkNotes is so good. I visited SparkNotes recently, and it was like very nice. Just because I like wanted to know the story of a thing, but I didn't really feel like reading the whole thing. And it was pretty good. I had a great time, and I was like, oh man, I should have used SparkNotes more when I like actually needed to. Because I don't usually read things like books and stuff because they make me fall asleep. So, pro tip for anyone out there who wants me to read something, make it a comic or I will fall asleep and I'll feel bad. But even when I was like in school and I had to do like summer reading or whatever, I remember the worst one that I had was Great Expectations. I could not read that at all. And it was like to the point where I had to get the like audio book to listen to as I read it. Otherwise I would not retain any of it because I hated it. And I was like, oh, this is the worst. But the thing I read on SparkNotes recently was The Tempest from Shakespeare. And it's pretty good. It's very silly, in my opinion. But it was one of those things where, like, it was like a piece of media I had consumed for the sake of, like, context for a single line. And just, like, every other time I have done this, it seems to be, like, quite late into the media that the line appears and occurs. The other time I had done this was with that movie There Will Be Blood, because I really wanted to understand the context for the I drink your milkshake thing when that was like going around. and that's like the very end of the movie. And I was like, I just had to watch this whole movie to understand why Daniel Day-Lewis was screaming about milkshakes. And the movie was alright, but I was just more annoyed that I had to get through that whole thing in order to get the context. It was very funny. Yeah, that's fine. I'm gonna put these in now before I forget about them. Because they bring the boys to the yard. So this panel is probably where you'll start to figure out why those other things were funny. But yeah, what was I talking? Oh yeah, the Tempest. I had wanted the context for that line about where the dude is like, hell is empty and all the devils are here. Because it's like a really cool line, right? It sounds so cool. But in context, it was like, this dude was real scared about some stuff that he saw. And he was like, oh my god, everything horrible's in this place. It was like a dude who gets trapped on an island and kind of like Count of Monte Cristo's some people who also end up stuck on the same island later on. If I'm remembering correctly. This was a while ago that I read this. But he like the dude who was shipwrecked on there first like scares a bunch of dudes into thinking that there's like demons or something on the island. Spooky, scary monsters, basically. Oh wait. I keep forgetting about his ears. That's fine. spookiest battles for her spooky skeletons. I didn't do his beard either, so I have to check and see where that goes. Yeah, less like smooching and more like assault is why the comments about smooching were very funny to me. I feel like less like smooching and more like assault would be the name of a title of a song. From like a post-hardcore or like a math rock band. I could see that happening. He clicks his katana in and out. While you were preparing your costume, he studied the blade. I have to move this eyebrow because this hand doesn't quite make much sense. I'm glad you enjoyed it. It did seem like a lot of fun. Unfortunately for me, they were playing here on a day that I had to work very late, which is pretty unfortunate. Some very cool middle school photos with the katana. Probably. I'm gonna move this whole thing. Oops. I'm just gonna move this way. Because I'm gonna need space for that text. Swan looking like you'd rather be anywhere else. I get the impression that that's just kind of like his vibe, though. Want him to be a big teddy bear. Oh, this is from this layer. Something that didn't get deleted. I was trying to figure out why that line looked weird. don't even know what I'm doing here. There we go. Silver, hello. Welcome. Chinese boy band? You mean Produce Pandas? Rose got it right away too. I follow them on Instagram. Some of their songs are catchy. Key, hello. Which one? I don't know. I only found them kind of recently, so I'm not like super duper familiar with all of the intricacies of the boy band. Oh, thank you, Key. I'm glad that you've been enjoying it. I hope this one is also quite funny. Yeah, I'm glad that I've been getting the chance to do it. Because there's a lot of stuff for them that has been like stuff that I've been aware of, but that hasn't apparently been very evident to other folks. So getting to see people like also kind of get to know them in the way that I have known them for however long. It's been pretty nice. My favorite so far has still been the how do I want to make this face here? Have been the Cecil pages. Because I've known that Cecil's a jerk, and I keep trying to tell people Cecil's a jerk. But nobody really believed me until the Cecil pages. Extended cinematic universe. I'll put another one of those here. Cecil could steal you from your BF even if you're single. Yeah, Cecil's two main character traits are, for me, are that he is a jerk and that he is rich. Uh, so he had a very good costume because he paid people to put him in like Hollywood, jeez, movie makeup, essentially. Boring artist? I'm sure you're not. Boring. Ho 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 ho, jokes, 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 jokes. But thank you for the follow, I appreciate it. I hope you're doing well. Ah. I was like, why does his arm look stupid and weird? And it's because part of it was in front of him and part of it was behind him, and that just doesn't make any sense. Oh, well, thank you. Oh, geez. That scared me. Those notifications terrify me every time. Goodness. But thank you for all the gifted subs. That's so very kind of you. You could have spent that money anywhere and on anything, and you spent it here for some reason. So for that, I am deeply and eternally grateful. I'm gonna make this ever so slightly less of a tangent. Roz and Tank's interaction in the last few panels. Yeah. It's been pretty fun. How tall is Roz? I'm not sure. I only know their like height in terms of relative height to one another. I did like nothing to figure out how I want this boy to be. But yeah, I don't know how tall he is because then I would have to figure out how tall everyone else is. And then I would have to... It would bother me if they were like inconsistently tall. So if I never decide, I don't have to think of a number. Or any way for them to be consistent in size relatively to other things. Oops. Need a chart. I could put like a chart of like how tall they are relative, like I said, to one another. But as soon as I put heights on that chart, I will feel compelled to stick to it in some way. And then later on when I draw other stuff, I'm like, this wouldn't be this tall if it was like 6 feet high or whatever. Or like if this person's this tall and these objects are generally this tall, then the perspective needs to look like this. And then it would take like ages to draw things, because I would want to be accurate, because I'm some sort of art masochist, I suppose. Whoops. So Procreate's getting an update soon, and it has a feature in it that I'm kind of excited about, which is pretty stupid because it's a thing that's like, in the grand scheme of things, not very important. But one of my biggest complaints for like using brushes sometimes in Procreate has been these little sliders over here don't have like a number. There is one, but you have to like, it just gives you a percentage of like how big the brush is, right? But it doesn't ever like let you see it in any sort of meaningful way to be able to consistently get the brush size you want. So one of the new updates let you kind of like pick a size and sort of like mark it on here, and so that way you can just jump to sizes and it'll let you save the size for later, which is pretty cool. So hopefully my line art can be a little less inconsistent in the future. But sometimes the inconsistency is fun, like in this one right now. Oops, I forgot. But I just found out about that like right before attempting to start the stream and running into audio problems. But yeah, in the grand scheme of things, it's not like, oh, this is gonna change my life forever. It's like one of those little things. It's like, man, I wish they would do this or do something like this, and they finally did. So it's pretty cool to see. I'll be excited to use it. And I'm glad you've been enjoying the rawness. He's been rather fun to draw, but I think it might be because of the glasses. But also people seem to really enjoy his very expressive glasses. Part of me almost wants to make his glasses like a regular thing, just because people seem to like it so much, but I'm not sure if they like it because I don't normally do it, or Roger from American Dad. Oh no. Nope. Now I'm gonna do what's called a pro gamer move. Here it is. Not just Roz, but everyone. Yeah. It's been nice to do more expressive stuff that like doesn't usually come up when they're just like generally posing. So that's one of the reasons that I really like doing comics like this, is because you get to see people do things that they don't normally do, thanks to various comical situations. I would make this like slide, but I think Scoot is going to be funnier, so I'm going to put Scoot. Scoot. Yeah, so that's about it for those. Let's do some coloring. Yet again, I have not saved these two background colors, so gotta open up last week, or yesterday, last week. Wash the dye out. May you not have dye stain your items, I guess. If you had the strength, yes, that is exactly that is exactly what would have happened yesterday. But Tank is too big to be tackled by Jesse, at least. So his tackle just sort of looked more like a hug, and I guess this would probably also have some lines sort of like this. And I'll do... Yeah. That's very good. Very good A+ way to go. So now let's do the color part. It's already 10:30. So let's fly through this real quick like. Speedrun coloring. Whoa. Luckily, because I decided to make very thick lines, the coloring portion shouldn't take a ton of time, but you know, who can say? It's usually during stuff like this where I will somehow forget something somewhat important. Not gonna worry about his cowlick here because that's not gonna get colored this color anyway. A lot of the like time-saving portions of coloring like this is just sort of realizing what is going to get covered up by other layers later on and not worrying so much about them. So like, because I know that I'm going from dark to light, anything that is a lighter color than the color I'm currently working on is something that I don't really care about getting the color on top of. I do still try to stay like within the bounds of where I'm trying to put all these things, but like with that scar just now, sometimes it's just easier to completely ignore the shape. Facial expressions. Hey, thanks. I'm glad that you like them. These ones especially have been very fun. Because again, I don't normally ever really have a reason to do these kind of facial expressions and stuff, so it's fun to get to do them. Also saving time by not fully drawing these hands. He's got mittens on for this one. Shh, don't tell nobody. It'll be our secret, as Bob Ross would say. The only thing that is this color is on Ross. Next one is this color. Bacon, hello. Spoiling. It's okay. You can always go back and read it when it is done as well. The boys will always be there for you. Yes. None of these colors are on. The rest of that boy. That's his ear, so that has to get that color. I don't really need to color his eyes here, since I'm gonna, oops, didn't want that, since I'm gonna fill that with a different color later anyway, but figured it'd just be easier to do it now. Ah. My chair continues to be the squeakiest chair in the world. It's not a stream unless I complain about it. At least once. This is that color, and tongues are that color as well. No, his belt is not this color. I thought it might be, but it's not. This is still... Ooh. I nearly forgot his freckles. Can't forget the boy's freckles. I think I may have forgotten them yesterday, but I can't really recall. I sure hope I didn't, because I'll have to go and fix it. I'll check after this. Oh, his forehead. Okay, next color. Boy howdy, large lines and consistent colors. Like, not using a ton of colors, I should say. Really speeds up this process. I did this yesterday because I thought I was not gonna finish in time. And I had like way more time than I thought I would. I forgot about his ears. Oh wait, no, that's not even this color anyway. That's this color. But yeah, I thought I wasn't gonna finish in time yesterday. So I did a bunch of like very heavy lines like I'm doing today. And the combination of like very heavy and loose lines plus like I said, a very simplified kind of color palette with just the grayscale stuff. Makes this go a lot smoother than if I had to like figure out like colors in relation to one another and all that sort of thing. That kind of comes along with like choosing colors or using smaller lines where I have to be more attentive to staying within them for the coloring portion. It's like right now we're cruising. We're soaring through the colors at this point. Say his hair goes like that. I don't really know. I think I may have decided at some point in the past, but that's how it is now. This, I think, is the middle. Okay. Oh, I may have forgotten to do his little ears on the last panel, so let me go check. I did. Bangs are back to their natural teal. Somehow, I don't believe that that's your natural color. I could be wrong, but you know, it just kind of feels like a guess that would make some sense. But also, welcome back. A little bit further down this way, I think. How could I insinuate such a thing? Is it an insinuation still if I like just kind of, you know, explicitly spell it out that way? I'm not really sure how insinuations work. That is an insinuation like an implication? Is it like the same thing? Are they interchangeable? I would normally look this up, but I'm drawing. So I'm just gonna assume whatever the chat says is true. Synonymous. Right, but like they can be synonyms and not be like fully interchangeable, you know what I mean? Does that make sense? Came out the puss with a teal streak. I'm surprised. The one true anime boy. Just as the scrolls foretold. The anime boy. So it is written. If you aren't living like an anime protagonist, what are you doing? I'm living like an anime protagonist from like an isekai storyline, but like before they get isekai'd. That's my protagonist lifestyle. The one where it's like, oh man, nothing happens. That's me. It's my secret. Living like the comic relief character. Nice, nice, nice. Everyone loves the comic relief character, so like, kudos to you. Hats off. I'm out here living like one of the World Trigger characters that you don't see for 70,000 episodes. That show is so wild, by the way, in that it's so slow. Like it feels like so many things are constantly going on in that show, but also like nothing is happening ever. I saw like one character design and I was like, that person seems pretty cool. I should check out this show. So I did. But then I found out that like the whole like crux of that show is that it's basically like a military kind of deal where it's like a bunch of people training to fight aliens kind of thing, or like extra dimensional beings or whatever. So it's basically like you meet everyone in this army and then they're all given like equal screen time, with the main characters getting like slightly more. So every like episode is like you trying to be like, okay, who is this one? What are they? What's their deal? So they've essentially been in like the whole like tournament arc kind of thing for an anime, but like it's been 3 seasons long. And it's like, what's happening? Why is this show this way? Because like in real time it would probably be like each of these like tournament style battles that they do amongst one another would take maybe like 2 episodes, 2 or 3. But like each time one of these things happens, you have to see it from like every other character's perspective. So it's like you understand like what their plans were, why their plans failed and why someone else's plan succeeded. And I don't know. Like, at first, when I first was like starting to watch it, I hated it, but I couldn't stop watching it, and now I'm still like actively kind of following it, and I don't know why. Like, it's one of those things that I probably wouldn't recommend to most people, but I still am watching it for some reason. And I'm not fully sure why I'm still following it. And it's World Trigger Silver. It's like, there's a lot of interesting things about it, but because the pacing feels so slow, it is hard to recommend. Because it's like all these really neat things are present, and there's like a lot of really cool moments, but there's like so much time that happens between each moment that it feels very slow. What am I doing? Oh, that goes here. Actually, before that, I'll do this thing. Nope. Didn't mean to do the thing the way I did the thing. That is too low. That's a little better. Really like, you wouldn't recommend because it's weird, or you gotta be in the anime now. Yeah, there's a few that are like that for me as well, where it's like, this is really good if you understand like the tropes about anime or whatever. But if you don't, it's like, why am I what is this? What's happening? So it can be hard to recommend. Okay. Text time. I did not mean to do that. How do I undo? I'll just retype it. I'll add the button just above the backspace button, which now that I think about it is very unfortunate placement. Something like that. Finished your essay, nice. do another one. Oh boy. So many essays. Oops. 35. What was the word he used yesterday? He said... Okay. I didn't want to be too redundant for anyone who happens to be like reading it all back to back. Teacher's gonna kill you, oh no. What was the one I was using? This one. I'll do regular text, I think, for this. How did I get Everett from where? Oops. Okay, so now we gotta do our speech bubbles. The downside of using big brushes is you can't really make super spiky. Well, you probably can, but not with the brush that I use. The ends tend to be a little rounded every time. So I have to go back and make stuff spiky. I could probably adjust some settings somewhere to make it do not that, but I don't feel like doing all that. I can make this a little bit bigger, I think. Gonna get rid of those there. Now add them down here. My trick for word bubbles is to draw it once, then flip everything upside down. That way you'll be able to see like which parts are uneven or whatever. And then you can just kind of keep doing it as many times as you want until it looks about as even as you want it to look. Procreate really does not like when I try to move the canvas with the hand that my brush is in, or that my pen is in. Pencil? Whatever. The stylus thing. Move this up here. Oops. Definitely too big over here. Feels a little close to that gutter. So we're going to move it over a little more. The upside of doing colored word bubbles like this, or word balloons, whatever, is that it's more easy to distinguish who is speaking, and I don't have to worry about the placement as hard as I would if it was all the same color. But one of the downsides is that you sort of lose the a few of the things you can do in relation to like the balloon and the gutter between the panels. Because some of those things don't really work unless you've got a consistent white space. But in order for that to work, I would need to plan a little better. And I've mostly been coming up with these the day that I draw them, so I certainly am not planning where the text is going and what the text is going to say. I know I had a particular orange for him, so I'm just going to grab it from yesterday. Because it's one of the ones in this sunset palette, but I can't really remember which one, so. Put an ellipsis here. If the cursor would move, there we go. Oh, I gotta adjust this thing in the background. Yeah. That was very not important, but it was going to bother me if I didn't fix it. Okay. Just gonna turn it down some amount. And actually, I'm going to put it here instead. Yeah. We done it. That's a whole page, y'all. Somehow, yet again, a whole page was formed right before our very eyes. So now the question is, should I try and play a little bit of this game? What do you guys think? What do you guys want to do? I could call it here. Just kind of post to the tweeters. And be done with it. Or we could play Inscription. Game time? Okay. Then in that case, I will hop over to here. And we can just kind of chill while I post this to the internet. I post from my phone and I use AirDrop to get from my iPad to my iPhone. Because Apple products. But I mentioned that because that's why I changed the screen. It pulls up all of your like people you recently texted and called and stuff when you do that too. And I don't want to accidentally dox people. Even though I know you guys are all pretty chill and cool. And actually, what I may do is just like end the stream and then start the stream again. Because I'm lazy and I would export these things to YouTube. But I don't want to have to edit this video to separate the game from the drawing. So maybe I'll do that real quick. So everybody take a breath. Hold your breath, count to 3, and we'll be right back.